With Star Wars The Last Jedi's trailer finally being released, I thought,
let's do a fucking Star Trek episode!
In this episode, Captain, we are going to look at the hypothetical situations that have happened in the last 3 movies. Oh, fuck, I can't believe that people talk like that in the shows. We're just gonna try and write the 4th movie. Not the one with the fucking whales. I don't know why I did like a weird Bill Cosby voice there. But we're going to talk about the one that happens after Star Trek Beyond. So we're going to take the first 3 movies, so Star Trek 2009, or just Star Trek, whatever you actually call that movie, Into Darkness and Beyond, and we're going to use the information that's been in those 3 movies, plus the information that we have thus far, to try and create and write the 4th movie, which I'm going to call Star Trek Infinity. But it would have been better if Beyond was called Infinity and this one was called Beyond, so then you could go like Infinity to Beyond. Whatever. It's a Buzz Lightyear joke. It doesn't matter. Let's go. Originally, when I had this idea, my thoughts were, hey, why not do something with the Klingons? Because in Into Darkness, you have that whole Klingon situation that never really gets revealed outside of the comics. But let's be honest, not a lot of people read the comic books. But my view on that has changed since Star Trek Discovery has hit the TV airwaves. And you know what? Let's just let them do the whole Klingon thing, because it would just be way too much Klingon shit. And the show and the movies, they would contradict one another and just create this whole fucking weird universe paradox. Like, I burped. The thought that kept running through my mind was, what race or faction could we use in this movie that would actually kind of make sense? The Klingons, let's leave them in Discovery. The Romulans, kind of been there, done that. Khan, nah, not really. The Gorn, they were in the video game that nobody really played. But then I had an idea. It's a little faction called,
the motherfucking Terran Empire.
As we all know, Thor himself is going to be back in this movie. So, the question that runs through my mind is, in what way? Is it going to be like a flashback? Is it going to be just like in a weird hologram? Who knows? But my idea with it is, why not have Chris Hemsworth be the bad guy? What? That would be crazy! When you actually look at the 3 movies on their own, there's one theme that's constant throughout all of them. Kirk has daddy issues, Spock has mom issues. And Kirk has always been centralized around this idea of trying to make his dad proud. Like, he's always trying to live up to the expectation and to the mantle that his dad was. So if you brought George Kirk back as an actual villain, then you have Kirk versus Kirk. Holy shit, wouldn't that be something just mind-blowing? You could do some really cool and interesting things with that. Now, the reason that I say let's use the Terran Empire is because there's a really good original series episode, and I can't remember the name because I'm not a fucking nerd, that uses the Terran Empire really, really well. I mean, you give Spock a goatee, that's just awesome, man! So why not use the actual Terran Empire going up against the Federation? And there's one thing that I'm really, really hoping that they do in the next movie. It's something that I like to call space battles. Anytime in a movie you see the Enterprise, for the most part, it's just getting its shit kicked. It's always getting blown up or ripped apart or whatever. Let's have a movie where the Enterprise finally actually is this ass-kicking machine. And maybe it's not even revealed until like the end of the movie. Like the Enterprise is still in space dock getting worked on, and all the crew have to come together to get it out, to be able to go up against, like, the Terran Empire's flagship, and you actually see the Enterprise do something aside from just blow the fuck up. There is a reason now why I say the Terran Empire, because if you look back at Star Trek Enterprise, there is an episode, or it's a 2-part episode, in Season 4, where the Terran Empire does find the USS Defiant. And I'm not talking about the one from Deep Space Nine, it's like the Constitution class from the original series. And I know that it's talked about in Star Trek Online, but not everybody plays that. Anyway, the point is, the Terran Empire finds that ship, looks into the databanks, like evil Archer sees good Archer, and he's like, fuck that guy. But it's clear that the Terran Empire now knows of the Federation's existence, so it makes sense that the Terran Empire would be like, this Federation sucks, but they have a lot of ships and a lot of cool tech. So why don't we try and create a device that can rip through space-time and do the reality bending thing, so we can go into their reality, mess them up, steal all their shit, and thus make us better. because the Terran Empire is all about conquering stuff. It's all about, what's that thing that Archer says? Great men are conquerors. And that's exactly what they would be doing. They would be conquering, but just on a different level. And from that standpoint, it could totally work, because you can create wormholes like in 2009. The way that I would actually start this movie is the first like 10 minutes of it would actually be set in the Terran Empire, but you don't actually know that up until the point where you actually see George Kirk. Like, he's the guy. He's your top tier commanding officer, and it seems like it's the Federation or like trying to fight this new enemy, but then it's revealed, oh shit, it's actually the Terran Empire, and I've been rooting for the bad guys for the last 10 minutes, and now I feel terrible, but this is gonna be awesome, I think. So they go to George Kirk and they're like, yo, George, we need you to take your Enterprise, or your Defiant, whatever you want to call his ship, and we need you to take on this crazy mission, and we're going to give you a fleet of ships to take with you, because it might get kind of crazy. But we're relying on you to make the Empire better. And he's all like, to me, Mjolnir.
That's a joke about Thor's hammer, because it's called Mjolnir, and Chris Hemsworth is best known as Thor and not George Kirk. Let's just move on, shall we?
Now, there are two different things that you could do with the storyline from the Federation standpoint, and that is the Enterprise, because we've seen it at the end of Star Trek Beyond still getting built, but then it like does get released at the end of it, and it does that crazy like spin and goes to warp, and it's insane. It's fucking nuts. But why not have it so the Enterprise is still in like a space dock getting built, or it's like still going like undergoing final testing or something along those lines. So that's your actual big payoff kind of at the end of this movie. And if anybody out there has read the IDW comic Star Trek Boldly Go, I believe it's called, the crew itself has been kind of split up. So Sulu's on a different ship. He's now a commanding officer, because we all know that he becomes a captain because George Takei just needed to one-up William Shatner. Spock's back on Vulcan with Uhura. Kirk's on like a different ship with Bones. So you could do this thing where the whole crew is split up, and it all like revolves around them coming together one last time to bust out the Enterprise to take on this big fleet. And to me, you could finally do it where the Enterprise is actually doing something useful. And god damn it, when you look at Nemesis, the movie, and they have that really good battle with the Scimitar and the Enterprise and the Warbirds and everything, is the best space battle out there, and I want so much more of that. Please give me something where the Enterprise is doing crazy shit. And not even that, you could have like a fleet of like 10 Terran Empire ships going up against a fleet of Federation ships, and it's just created these huge awesome space battles, which is what we really do need in a Star Trek movie. Like, I'm tired of just seeing Kirk and Spock winning the day by nerve pinching a dude or whatever. Let's see the Federation itself actually kick some ass finally. And not to mention, you could have that really cool bit in the movie where George Kirk comes face to face with James T. Kirk, and it creates this like almost Empire Strikes Back moment where, oh my god, wouldn't it be awesome if fucking George Kirk just said,
"No, Jim, I am your father."
no, that's impossible! I mean, now that I say that, it sounds really stupid. Of course, if you did go this route, you could have that great moment where Kirk says, like, "You're not my dad," and then blows up George Kirk's ship. Something like that, where you know you're gonna get that moment where Kirk's really battling with having to kill his own dad, even though it's not his own dad, but sort of is. And it just would tie up that entire storyline of him having daddy issues because he just killed his own dad in sort of a weird, perverse way. Oh my god, I want this to happen so bad. Now, the one issue that I can foresee coming into this movie is, how do you deal with Chekhov's death? Now, are you going to actually kill him off? Are you going to write his character off? Or are you just going to say, like, maybe he's just been reassigned, something like that? And to me, I think you should address it and write the character out. Now, there's two ways that I think you could do this that wouldn't piss fans off. One is at the very start of the movie, maybe after the whole Terran Empire like opening, you have a memorial and you just have like the torpedo with the body in it, but you don't see the body, and they're giving a eulogy to Chekhov, and you could say that he just died in an accident, which is kind of what happened in real life, so they are addressing it. Because if there's one thing we've learned about this cast, it's that they are a very tight-knit family. So I can't see them recasting Chekhov. I think that would piss a lot of people off. The way that I would actually handle this is, when the Terran Empire comes through the rip the first time, like for the first moment, let's say Chekhov is reassigned to a ship that's like on the outer edge of the frontier or whatever, and the Terran Empire comes through and they destroy that ship, and therefore Chekhov dies, and it gives the rest of the cast like a purpose to come together to avenge their fallen comrade and take on the Empire full tilt to avenge Chekhov. I think that would be a way to actually give him a nice send-off, like, we're doing this for you. And you could sprinkle some cool, like, Klingon stuff in there, you know, just to have them mentioned in it. Like, again, you could have the Klingon fleet get destroyed by the Terran Empire to show the Terran Empire's true power. So they come through and they just, like, obliterate. Hell, they could blow up, like, Kittimer. Why not? Like, they're responsible for it. Because you're already changing enough that why not do something crazy like that? Oh, my God, wouldn't that be something? And then you have the Klingon Empire hate the humans even more, because technically humans, even though not from their own reality, but they're Klingons and they don't really give a shit, now hate the Federation even more. And you could have more longevity in this movie series, because then you could do, like, a whole Klingon war down the line. Oh, my God, why am I so good at writing shit? Here's another idea that I had for something to happen in this movie, and I know it's not gonna happen because it wouldn't make any sense, but I'm gonna throw it out there for you guys, and you guys throw it back if you think it's a good idea or not. Alright, here we go. Let's say the Terran Empire is absolutely, like, just fist fucking the Federation, right? They're just getting destroyed. And Kirk, being the rogue renegade kind of guy that he is, realizes that they need help. They need somebody who is a warrior, somebody who can actually take on the Terran Empire, somebody who's got the brains. And what does he do? He wakes up Khan. What? Can you imagine a movie where Kirk gets so desperate that he has to awaken and team up with his arch enemy, Khan, to take on an even greater threat? And then you actually have Benedict Cumberbatch make another appearance. Oh my God, we love him so much. He's Sherlock and he's dreamy. Now, if we're gonna do something interesting with Khan, why don't we do something interesting with Carol Marcus? Because she was there at the end of Into Darkness, and then she wasn't there in Beyond. And I get a lot of questions of people saying, like, where'd she go? That's a great question. I don't know. I'm just gonna speculate that maybe she got pregnant with David, who is Kirk's kid, and she decided to stay on Earth because she didn't want to raise a son on a starship. And you could do something with her where she comes back. Or maybe, like, George Kirk goes after her and it gives James Kirk purpose to take on his dad in, like, the end segment. Something along those lines. Like, maybe we should utilize that character a little bit better as well. I have an idea for a movie too. What if, like, at the end segment, the Borg just, like, showed up. Like, the Borg come in and there's, like, a giant cube and they assimilate the whole Federation, and that's how the series ends. Okay, I get it, that everything that I'm saying is just kind of silly and hearsay, but I don't know, maybe it's a good idea. I don't know, I'm just I'm trying to help you, Hollywood. Make a good Star Trek movie. So that's my idea for how you could do Star Trek 4. And I'm just gonna call it Infinity. Fuck it. Star Trek Infinity. That's what we're gonna do. Anywho, that's just my take on what I'd like to see in Star Trek Infinity. Thanks so much for watching, or rather, listening to me ramble on about Star Trek stuff for like 20 minutes. Leave me your comments, your ideas in the section below. Don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button for me as well, because I really do appreciate it. Until the next episode of Tender Gaming or the next Tender Talk, I've been Tender and I will see you all in the very next episode. Until then, engage.